ngoba ngisho ukuthi akaze ngize ngimuphe ngale answer ngazi lutho ngale cala ledakamizwa ayikhuluma ngalo.
As I've indicated that I never gave him this answer, so I know nothing about this drug dealing matter that he wrote here.
The said person is informed of his rights as prescribed by Section 35 of Act 108 of 1996.
Guess what? I've finally figured it out. Yeah, I have finally figured it out. Baloyi doesn't want to sit alone in his office to read all the documentation. He wants this to be a group work exercise. That's what's going on here. It's been 10 days where we've watched Baloyi ask Mzansi a question, and just like in this clip I just shared, he just continues reading to the next sentence. So why are you involving us? And by us, I mean Mzansi, because you really do not care what he has to say. You're just wanting to read and read and read everything into the record. But guess what? You might think no one is paying attention. You might think you're the one with the LLV. As they like to say, my learned colleague, my learned friend. You might think nobody is paying attention, and even worse, you might have made the mistake of thinking it's Friday. People are tired. They've had to digest everything Kat Matlala said, including his voice that shocked the nation. That, wait, that's the sound of him gulligadoo? I thought it was going to have a little bit of horsepower to it. But you got to listen to what happens next. Here goes.
Paragraph 1. The said person was informed of the right to remain silent. Paragraph 2. He was informed that he has the right to remain silent and of the consequences if he does not remain silent. Paragraph 3, he was also warned that he was not obliged to make any confession or admission that might later be used against him. Paragraph 4, he was also warned that he has the right to consult with a legal representative of his choice, and if he cannot afford the services of such a legal representative can be appointed by the state. Paragraph 5, which is not applicable as you are not a minor. This relates to a minor. And it says, do you understand the warning I've given you? The response was, yes, I understand.
In the court, Mandas.
Oh my goodness, did you see that? Nisi just stood up and already the judge is rubbing his head. He's already just shaking his head. Nisi hasn't said a word. Okay, let's continue listening on.
The state reads paragraph number 5. And we are departing on the basis of what was written, according to what the state is informing the court. What was written by Khatebe. The state says, reads paragraph 5 into the record, and the state says, this is not applicable because you were a minor. Is that what is contained in paragraph 5?
I didn't say you were a minor, but just I'll read it in the. I said it's not applicable because you are not a minor, but I'll read it.
Exactly, my lord. That is my point. The state says, the state is reading what is contained in this form. Now the state says this was not applicable because you are not a minor. I just want to find out from the state if that information is also contained in here, because he is reading what Mr. Khatebe wrote or annotated in this form. We have a portion that says in this form, it is not applicable because you are not a minor.
We'll place it on record, my lord. Paragraph 5. If he is a minor, he has the right to be supported by his next of kin, guardian, legal representative, or any other person of his choice before he makes any statement, confession, admission, or pointing out. Then the question, do you understand the warning I've given you? Response, yes, I understand.
Khatebe never read to me what the state is now reading. Never asked me this question, and I never gave him this answer.
Paragraph 4. The said person is informed that he is in the presence of a justice of the peace, an officer in the South African police. He is warned that he is not compelled to point out any sins and or points on the scene or scenes, or to say anything about such sin or scenes. The said person is further warned that he may point out or may. The said person is warned that what he may point out or may say will be noted down and photographs of the scene or scenes and or points pointed out will be taken and may later be used as evidence during a subsequent trial.
akazi uHatebe ngitshene lo nto leyo.
Hatebe never said that to me.
Paragraph 5, he's asked whether he knows and understands the warning given to him now. His answer to this is as follows: I understand the warning.
uHatebe akaze ngibuze lo mbuzo lo akaze ngipane futhi lo answer leyo.
Hatebe never asked me that question, and I never provided him with that answer.
Paragraph 6, he's further asked if he still wishes to point out the scene or scenes and or points, and his reply to this is, I still want to point out and give a statement.
uHatebe akaze ngibuze lo mbuzo lo akaze ngipane futhi ngale answer eshiwe.
Hatebe never asked me that, and I never provided the answer that's mentioned here.
Paragraph 7.1, have you previously pointed out anything of a similar nature? Answer, no.
uHatebe akaze ngibuze lo mbuzo lo akaze ngipane futhi ngale answer eshiwe le.
Hatebe never asked me that question. I never provided him with the answer indicated here.
Paragraph 7.2, if so, when and to whom? Answer, N/A.
uHatebe akaze ngibuze lo mbuzo lo akaze ngipane futhi ngale answer le.
Hatebe never asked me that question, and I also never provided such an answer.
Paragraph 8, were you in any way assaulted, threatened, or influenced by any person to point out the scene or scenes and or points? Answer, no.
uHatebe akaze ngibuze lo mbuzo lo akaze ngize ngiphane ngale answer le njengoba bengishilo ukuthi mina ngashawa iphosphorus.
Hatebe never asked me that question. I never provided with that answer, and as I've already mentioned that I was assaulted in Phosphorus.
Paragraph 9, do you have any injuries or bruises of any nature whatsoever? Can you show them to me? If so, please show me. Answer, no. Note down all the injuries. Answer, no.
And right there is the goose that laid the golden egg. Muzi has shown in the court the bruises that he has, or should I call them scars, since it's been years later, the scars that he had from that time when he was being torturized. So the fact that Hatebe is out there typing no, there's no bruises, means that he wrote an incorrect statement, because Muzi says you can still see the wounds right now. And Baloyi is acting like every single prisoner has got those wounds. Baloyi is, I think it was yesterday, said, no, it's because of the handcuffs. And when the handcuffs cut you, it's not because anyone was doing anything to you. But Muzi described, and that was literally difficult to hear, that listen, they were picking me up with these handcuffs. And when they were kicking me and I would be turning and trying to shield myself. So obviously the handcuffs were rubbing against my skin, and that's how I attained the bruises. But for Baloyi to act like he has no clue, is oblivious, when he is within eye view, he's not even a meter away from he's not even a meter away from Umuzi Sibiya, and he's acting like, yeah, no, there's definitely no bruises. He insisted on reading this into the record. There you go. There is the golden goose. Hatebe wrote that there's no visible bruises, yet Muzi did absolutely have visible bruises. If I was part of the defense team, this is a great opportunity to enlarge those photos in the pointing out and check the bruises if they are visible. But then they could have photoshopped them. I actually need to see them. Yeah, and that was before the time of AI, so those photos need to be seen. I would look at those photos again. Let me know if you agree in the comment section down below.
uHatebe akaze ngibuze lo mbuzo lo akaze ngize ngiphane lo answer leyo and mina ngangilimele la izandleni nala emzimbeni ngangilimele.
Hatebe never asked me that question. I never provided with that answer, and I had injuries on my hands and also on my body.
izandla kwakubonakala ukulimala ngoba kwakunembobo namanje kusenamanxeba khona la uma kwakhona sesekhona namanje.
And the injuries were visible on my hands because they were injuries. So, and even now there are still some marks that are still remaining.
Observations by the officer. A picture of the accused was taken by Sergeant Mapakela from the LCRC Alberton. He is calm.
Ngangapholile ithombe bayishutha uHatebe uye wayeshutha ngenze kanjani bese kushutha isithombe ngithi ngenze kanjani bese kushutha isithombe kodwa ukuthi ngangipholile.
Not that I was calm. Yes, pictures were taken, and Hadebe is the one that was taking the pictures and also directing me as to what I was supposed to do, but not that I was calm.
I'm sorry, did you say it is indeed Sergeant Mapakela who took the photos?
Uthi uMaphakela wayethobile ithombe?
Angimazi umuntu wayengishutha ithombe uthi ubani.
Was Hadebe.
But there was a photographer.
Kodwa wayekhona umuntu wayethobile ithombe.
Wayekhona umuntu wayethobile ithombe ubade wayithi angime kanje bese lona eshutha isithombe.
There was a photographer. Hadebe would direct me to stand like this, and then the person would be taking the pictures.
Paragraph 10, tell me how you sustained those injuries. Answer, N/A.
Akazi uHadebe angibuze lo mbuzo lo akazi ngize ngiphana lo answer le ngoba ngisho ukuthi mina ngangilimele ezandleni kwakunamanxeba okulimala nasemzimbeni ngangilimele ngoba umzimba ubuhlungu.
As Hadebe never asked me that question, I never provided with that answer. And as I indicated that I had injuries, my hands, on my hands as well as my body was sore.
And like I said, Baloyi just needs us to sit with him and watch him as he reads through the paperwork and just make sure that he remembers, because he seems to need to go over that. This doesn't involve us. It doesn't even involve Umuzi, because the only time he paused to respond to what Muzi had to say is when Muzi said and Hadebe was taking the pictures, and Baloyi needs the record to be accurate, and he goes, wait, Hadebe is the one who was taking the photos? And that's when Muzi clarifies. So we can conclude Baloyi is listening. He's just selectively listening, and he is choosing what he wants to hear from Umuzi and what he wants to acknowledge. He will not acknowledge if it's to save his life, because once Baloyi acknowledges, it has to be on the record. So he is avoiding that. This is an avoidance tendency. But let me know if you agree in the comment section down below. It is Friday. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you've made it this far in the video, you absolutely have my heart. Please remember to like, to comment, to subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.